You think victory happens in the moment, but it doesn't. It happens in the preparation no one sees. A true warrior never rushes into conflict. He shapes the outcome before the first blow is struck. The one who studies, plans, and positions himself with discipline wins without chaos. Your challenges are not random. They follow patterns. And once you understand those patterns, you no longer react. You predict, you decide. That is how you win, quietly, decisively, and without struggle. Subscribe to our channel if you're ready to master your mind, and tell us, where are you watching from? You think victory happens in the moment, but it doesn't. It happens in the preparation no one sees. A true warrior never rushes into conflict. He shapes the outcome before the first blow is struck. The one who studies, plans, and positions himself with discipline wins without chaos. Your challenges are not random. They follow patterns. And once you understand those patterns, you no longer react. You predict. You decide. That is how you win, quietly, decisively, and without struggle. Listen carefully. The moment you step into any battle, whether it's a business negotiation, a difficult conversation, or a personal challenge, the outcome is already half determined by what you did before you arrived. The weak believe in luck. The strong believe in preparation. I have watched armies fall not because they lacked courage, but because they lacked foresight. They charged when they should have waited. They spoke when they should have listened. They acted when they should have observed. Victory was never about being the strongest in the room. It was about being the most prepared. Here's what most people don't understand. Every challenge you face has been faced before. Every opponent you encounter has patterns they repeat. Every obstacle in your path follows predictable rules. When you study these patterns, when you map these rules, when you understand these rhythms, you gain something more valuable than strength. You gain certainty. The unprepared warrior fights with hope. The prepared warrior fights with knowledge. Hope is fragile. Knowledge is unbreakable. Before you enter any arena, ask yourself these questions. What does victory look like? What are the 3 ways I could lose? What information do I need that I don't yet have? Who has solved this problem before me? What would cause my opponent to surrender without fighting? These questions seem simple, but most people skip them. They rush forward with passion instead of patience. They mistake movement for progress. They confuse noise for strength. But let me ask you this. When was the last time you solved a problem by panicking? When did rushing ever make you more intelligent? When did emotion ever sharpen your strategy? Never. The wise general wins first, then fights. The foolish general fights first, then hopes to win. Which one are you? Your mind is your first battlefield. If you cannot control your thoughts, you cannot control your circumstances. If you cannot master your preparation, you cannot master your results. Victory begins in the silence of planning, not in the chaos of action. Right now, think about the biggest challenge you're facing. Instead of asking, how do I beat this? Ask, how do I position myself so that beating this becomes inevitable? Instead of asking, what if I fail? Ask, what would make failure impossible? This is not about avoiding risk. This is about calculating risk. This is not about hiding from challenges. This is about approaching challenges with such thorough preparation that the outcome is no longer in question. The amateur prepares for what might happen, the professional prepares for what will happen, the master prepares for what must happen, and then makes it happen. Your next victory is not waiting for you in the future. It's waiting for you in the preparation you haven't done yet. It's waiting for you in the questions you haven't asked. It's waiting for you in the patterns you haven't studied. Every moment you spend preparing is a moment your competition spends assuming. Every hour you invest in understanding is an hour they waste in hoping. Every day you choose discipline over impulse is a day you choose victory over defeat. The battle is won before it begins. The promotion is earned before it's offered. The relationship is saved before it's threatened. The success is created before it's celebrated. Stop waiting for the perfect moment to act. Start creating the perfect conditions for victory. Stop hoping things will work out. Start making things work out. You already have what it takes. Now, go prove it. Most people lose before they even begin because they fight blind. They don't know their own strengths. They don't understand their environment. They never study their opposition. Then they wonder why they fail. This is not failure. This is ignorance choosing to call itself unlucky. True power comes from complete awareness. Know yourself with brutal honesty. Know your terrain with precise detail. Know your opponent with cold calculation. When you possess all three forms of knowledge, defeat becomes impossible. Let me be clear about something. Self-knowledge is not self-love. It's not about feeling good about your abilities. It's about knowing exactly what you can do, what you cannot do, and what you must improve to bridge that gap. The warrior who lies to himself about his capabilities dies by his own delusion. What are your actual strengths? Not what you wish they were, not what others tell you they are. What can you execute consistently under pressure? What skills do you possess that others cannot replicate? What advantages do you have that you're not fully utilizing? Now, the harder question. What are your weaknesses? Where do you break down when stress increases? What patterns of failure do you repeat? What blind spots consistently cost you opportunities? The person who cannot answer these questions honestly is already defeated. Here's what most people don't understand about terrain. Every situation has rules. Every environment has advantages and disadvantages. Every context rewards certain behaviors and punishes others. The wise adapt to these rules. The foolish expect the rules to adapt to them. Are you fighting in a corporate environment that rewards collaboration or competition? Are you operating in a market that values innovation or reliability? Are you navigating a relationship that needs honesty or diplomacy? The same strategy that works in one terrain will destroy you in another. Study the ground before you move. What has worked here before? What has failed? Who controls the key resources? What timing produces the best results? Where are the hidden obstacles? What advantages does this environment offer that you haven't recognized? But understanding yourself and your terrain means nothing if you don't understand your opposition. Your opponent is not your enemy. They are your teacher. They will show you exactly how to defeat them if you know how to observe. What do they want most? What do they fear most? Where do they always succeed? Where do they consistently fail? What patterns do they repeat when under pressure? What assumptions do they make about you? Most people study their opponents to find reasons to hate them. The wise study their opponents to find ways to predict them. Emotion clouds judgment. Analysis reveals opportunity. Watch how they respond to stress. Watch how they make decisions. Watch how they treat others when they think no one is looking. These behaviors will tell you everything you need to know about how they will behave when it matters most. But let me ask you this. When was the last time you truly studied yourself with the same intensity you study others? When did you last map your environment with the same detail you use to judge your competition? The greatest victories come not from superior force, but from superior understanding. When you know yourself completely, you cannot be surprised by your own limitations. When you know your terrain completely, you cannot be caught off guard by changing conditions. When you know your opponent completely, you cannot be defeated by their strategies. This knowledge is not gathered once and forgotten. It must be updated constantly. You change. Your environment changes. Your opposition changes. Yesterday's analysis is today's blindness. Start now. Write down your 3 greatest strengths and your 3 greatest weaknesses. Identify the 3 most important rules of your current environment. Name the 3 most predictable behaviors of your primary opposition. If you cannot complete this exercise immediately, you are fighting blind, and the blind do not win wars. Awareness is your weapon. Ignorance is your enemy. Choose which one you will carry into battle. The weak think strength means fighting every battle. The strong know strength means choosing which battles to fight. There is no honor in unnecessary conflict. There is no wisdom in avoidable struggle. The supreme excellence consists in breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting. But when fighting becomes inevitable, you must win completely and decisively. Listen carefully. Every day you face dozens of potential conflicts. Someone challenges your opinion, someone questions your authority, someone disrespects your position. The immature respond to every provocation. The mature respond only to what matters. Ask yourself this question before you engage. What do I gain by winning this fight? If the answer is nothing meaningful, walk away. If the answer is everything that matters to you, then fight with total commitment. Most battles are distractions disguised as opportunities. They consume your energy, expose your strategies, and reveal your weaknesses to real opponents who are watching from the shadows. The wise conserve their strength for conflicts that actually determine their destiny. Here's what most people don't understand about avoiding conflict. It's not about being passive. It's about being selective. It's not about being weak. It's about being strategic. When you refuse to fight meaningless battles, you preserve your resources for battles that matter. But there are times when avoidance is impossible, when your core values are threatened, when your future depends on the outcome, when retreat would cost more than victory. In these moments, you must be prepared to engage with overwhelming force. The worst mistake is fighting half-heartedly. If you must fight to win completely. Commit every resource, use every advantage, deploy every strategy, leave nothing in reserve. Partial commitment guarantees partial results. Study your options before you choose conflict. Can you achieve your objective through negotiation? Can you accomplish your goal through influence? Can you reach your destination by going around the obstacle instead of through it? Sometimes the appearance of strength prevents the need for its use. Sometimes a display of preparation eliminates the requirement for action. Sometimes positioning yourself correctly makes fighting unnecessary. But let me ask you this. How much energy are you wasting on battles that don't advance your position? How many conflicts are you engaging in that serve your opponent's interests more than your own? The master wins without fighting not because he's afraid to fight, but because he is too intelligent to fight unnecessarily. He understands that every battle has costs, even victory. He knows that today's unnecessary conflict can become tomorrow's strategic disadvantage. When someone insults you, ask, does responding serve my long-term interests? When someone challenges your decision, ask, will this confrontation strengthen or weaken my position? When someone tests your patience, ask, is my reaction helping me or helping them? Most of the time, the strongest response is no response. Most of the time, the wisest strategy is to let others reveal their character while you protect yours. Most of the time, silence is more powerful than speech. But when you must fight, fight smart. Choose the terrain, choose the timing, choose the weapons. Never fight on their terms. Never fight when they expect it. Never fight the way they want you to fight. Attack their strategy, not their strength. Undermine their confidence, not their position. Defeat their will to continue, not just their ability to resist. The goal is not to prove you can win every fight. The goal is to achieve your objectives with the least amount of conflict necessary. Sometimes this means overwhelming force. Sometimes this means subtle maneuvering. Sometimes this means patient waiting. Here's the truth about conflict. The person who needs to fight less usually wins more. The person who chooses their battles carefully usually dominates those battles completely. The person who avoids unnecessary conflict has more energy for necessary victories. Right now, identify one conflict you're engaged in that serves no strategic purpose. End it. Walk away. Redirect that energy towards something that actually matters. Then, identify one battle you've been avoiding that could determine your future. Prepare for it. Plan for it. Then win it decisively. True strength is knowing the difference. There are no random attacks, only repeated mistakes. Learn to read the rhythm. Everything in life follows patterns. People repeat the same behaviors under similar pressures. Markets cycle through predictable phases. Organizations follow familiar structures of growth and decline. Once you learn to see these patterns, you gain the power of prophecy. Most people react to what just happened. The wise prepare for what will happen next. While others are surprised by events, you are positioned to profit from them. This is not luck. This is pattern recognition transformed into strategic advantage. Watch how people behave when they're stressed. Do they attack or withdraw? Do they become more careful or more reckless? Do they seek help or isolate themselves? These stress responses never change. Under pressure, people become more themselves, not different people. Your boss has a pattern when facing deadlines. Your competitor has a pattern when losing market share. Your difficult colleague has a pattern when challenged publicly. Once you map these patterns, their future actions become predictable. Here's what most people don't understand about human behavior. We are creatures of habit, wearing masks of unpredictability. Strip away the surface variation, and you will find the same core responses playing out again and again. Study the sequence, not just the event. What happens right before they make their biggest mistakes? What conditions must align for them to take their greatest risks? What triggers cause them to abandon their usual caution? The person who always starts strong but fades under prolonged pressure will fade again. The person who makes emotional decisions when criticized will make emotional decisions again. The person who cuts corners when behind schedule will cut corners. Again, this is not cynicism. This is reality. People change slowly, if at all. Patterns change even more slowly. Use this knowledge not to judge others, but to position yourself advantageously. But let me ask you this. What patterns define your own behavior? What do you always do when facing uncertainty? How do you respond to criticism? What triggers your worst decisions? If you can predict others but not yourself, you are only half prepared. Self-awareness of your own patterns is equally crucial. When do you perform best? When do you make your worst mistakes? What conditions bring out your strengths? What circumstances reveal your weaknesses? Market patterns are even more reliable than human patterns. Bull markets create overconfidence. Bear markets create panic. Both create opportunities for those who understand the cycle. Economic expansion breeds carelessness. Economic contraction breeds caution. Both phases reward different strategies. Industries follow life cycles. Technologies follow adoption curves. Customer behavior follows seasonal rhythms. The observer who maps these patterns can anticipate changes before they become obvious to competitors. Look for the pattern behind the pattern. Why do your clients always delay decisions in the fourth quarter? Why does your team always struggle with projects that start on Mondays? Why do your best ideas come when you're doing completely unrelated activities? Every pattern has a trigger and a sequence. Identify the trigger, and you can predict the sequence. Predict the sequence, and you can position yourself accordingly. Position yourself correctly, and you can turn predictable events into systematic. Advantages. Start with observation. For the next week, watch for one specific pattern in your environment. Maybe it's how your manager responds to unexpected problems. Maybe it's how your market reacts to certain types of news. Maybe it's how you perform under different types of pressure. Document what you observe. Note the triggers. Map the sequences. Identify the variations. Soon you will see that what others call chaos is actually rhythm. What others call surprises are actually repetitions. The future belongs to those who can read the present accurately. The past is your teacher, showing you what will happen again. The present is your laboratory, showing you what patterns are forming now. Most people study history to understand what happened. The wise study history to predict what will happen next. Most people are surprised by recurring events. The wise are positioned to profit from them. Stop being surprised. Start being prepared. The patterns are there. You just need to learn how to see them. Find the fracture. Don't confront power. Exploit vulnerability. The foolish attack where their opponent is strongest. The wise attack where their opponent cannot defend. Water does not crash against the mountain. It finds the crack and splits. The stone from within. Every person has strengths they are proud of and weaknesses they try to hide. Every organization has departments that excel and divisions that struggle. Every system has components that work perfectly and joints that break. Under pressure, your victory lies not in matching their strength, but in finding their fracture. This is not about being unfair. This is about being effective. In any competition, resources are limited. Energy is finite. Time is scarce. Waste any of these attacking. Strength, and you guarantee your own defeat. Study your opponent's confidence. What do they brag about? What do they never worry about? What do they assume will always work in their favor? Their greatest strength often sits next to their greatest vulnerability, because success breeds blindness. The company that dominates through low prices struggles with premium positioning. The leader who succeeds through control struggles with delegation. The expert who wins through knowledge struggles with adaptation. Strength creates its own weakness. Here's what most people don't understand about weakness. It's not always obvious. Sometimes weakness looks like strength. The person who never admits mistakes has weak judgment. The organization that never changes has weak adaptability. The strategy that always works has weak flexibility. Look for the stress points. Where do they consistently struggle? What problems do they never quite solve? What challenges do they always handle poorly? What questions do they refuse to answer? But let me ask you this. Are you attacking their weakness or fighting their reputation? Are you exploiting their actual vulnerability or their perceived vulnerability? Reputation is often stronger than reality. Focus on what is, not what appears to be. Sometimes weakness is not in their abilities, but in their priorities. They excel at operations but ignore innovation. They dominate their current market, but miss emerging trends. They manage their team perfectly, but neglect their own development. Sometimes weakness is not in their skills, but in their dependencies. They rely too heavily on one client. They depend too much on one supplier. They bet everything on one strategy. Dependencies are always vulnerabilities waiting to be exposed. Sometimes weakness is not in their present, but in their future. Their current success requires conditions that are changing. Their winning strategy depends on assumptions that are becoming false. Their competitive advantage relies on barriers that are disappearing. The master sees weakness before it becomes obvious. While others attack current strength, he positions himself against future vulnerability. While others fight today's battle, he prepares for tomorrow's victory. This principle applies to your internal battles as well. Don't attack your strongest bad habits directly. Undermine their supporting structure. Don't fight your biggest fears. Head on. Address the smaller fears that feed them. If you want to wake up earlier, don't attack your love of sleep. Attack your late-night phone usage. If you want to save more money, don't attack your desire to spend. Attack your exposure to spending triggers. If you want to be more disciplined, don't attack your lack of willpower. Attack the environment that demands so much willpower. Right now, identify one challenge you're facing where you've been attacking strength instead of weakness. Maybe you're trying to outspend a competitor with deeper pockets instead of out-innovating them. Maybe you're trying to out-argue someone instead of undermining their assumptions. Stop fighting their strength. Find their weakness. Stop matching their power. Exploit their vulnerability. Stop playing their game. Change the rules to favor your advantages. Every fortress has a gate. Every argument has an assumption. Every strategy has a dependency. Every strength has a blind spot. Your job is not to be stronger than your opposition. Your job is to be smarter than your opposition. Smart means fighting where you can win, not where they expect you to fight. Find the fracture. Apply the pressure. Watch them break from within. Let your silence be louder than their confidence. Win with misdirection. The moment you reveal your true intentions, You hand your opponent the keys to your defeat. They can prepare. They can counter. They can position themselves to block your path. Surprise is your greatest weapon, but only if you guard it like your life depends on it. Most people cannot keep their plans secret. They announce their goals. They broadcast their strategies. They telegraph their moves. Then they wonder why their competitors are always one step ahead. This is not bad luck. This is poor strategy. The wise reveal nothing until the moment of action. They smile when others expect anger. They stay calm when others expect panic. They move left when others expect right. Predictability is the enemy of victory. Watch how people respond when they think they know what you're doing. They relax. They assume. They prepare for the wrong battle. This is exactly what you want. Let them waste their energy preparing for attacks that will never come. Here's what most people don't understand about deception. It's not about lying. It's about controlling information. It's not about being dishonest. It's about being strategically silent. The truth shared at the wrong time becomes a weapon in the wrong hands. Your competitors study your patterns. Your colleagues analyze your decisions. Your opponents watch your behavior for clues about your next move. Give them nothing useful. Better yet, give them something misleading. Act interested in things that don't matter to you. Seem concerned about problems that don't threaten you. Appear confident about strategies you have no intention of using. Let them prepare for battles you will never fight. But let me ask you this. How often do you reveal your hand too early? How many times have you shared your plans only to find others blocking your path? How frequently do you telegraph your emotions, giving others the power to manipulate them? Disguise your strengths as weaknesses. Disguise your preparations as routine activities. Disguise your advantages as lucky breaks. The person who underestimates you has already lost to you. When you're ahead, act like you're behind. When you're prepared, act like you're struggling. When you're confident, act like you're uncertain. Misdirection works because people want to believe they understand more than they actually do. Control the narrative others tell about you. If they think you're impulsive, be methodical. If they think you're emotional, be logical. If they think you're predictable, be surprising. Their assumptions become your camouflage. Sometimes the best disguise is no disguise at all. Hide your strategy in plain sight. Let them see part of your plan while concealing the crucial elements. They will think they understand everything while missing what matters most. The timing of revelation is as important as the content of revelation. Share information when it serves your purpose, not when others demand it. Control the flow of knowledge like you control any other resource. Practice the art of strategic silence. When others are talking about their plans, listen. When others are revealing their concerns, observe. When others are showing their cards, keep yours hidden. Information flows toward the quiet ones and away from the loud ones. Your reputation can be a form of misdirection. If you're known for being direct, use indirection. If you're known for being aggressive, use patience. If you're known for being cautious, use boldness. Let your reputation create expectations, then violate those expectations at the crucial moment, right? Now, think about one important goal you're pursuing. Who knows about it? Who benefits from knowing about it? Who could interfere if they knew about it? Who are you telling that you don't need to tell? Stop broadcasting your intentions. Stop announcing your strategies. Stop revealing your timeline. Start moving in silence. Start preparing in darkness. Start winning before anyone realizes the game has begun. The loudest victories are often the weakest victories. The quietest preparations often produce the strongest results. Let others make noise. You make progress. Your silence is your strength. Your mystery is your advantage. Your secrets are your weapons. Strike too early, you miss. Strike too late, you suffer. Strike on time, you dominate. The right action at the wrong time becomes the wrong action. The wrong action at the right time can become genius. Everything depends on timing. The wise understand this. The foolish rush. Most people act when they feel ready. The strategic act when the world is ready. There is a difference between being prepared and recognizing the moment when preparation meets opportunity. That intersection is where victories are born. Watch the rhythms around you. Every person has cycles of strength and vulnerability. Every organization has periods of expansion and contraction. Every market has seasons of growth and decline. Your success depends on synchronizing your actions with these natural rhythms. Strike when your opponent is distracted. Move when your competition is complacent. Act when your market is shifting. The master of timing doesn't create opportunities. He recognizes them and responds instantly. Here's what most people don't understand about timing. It's not about patience. It's about precision. It's not about waiting forever. It's about waiting for the exact right moment, then moving with decisive speed. The early bird catches the worm, but the second mouse gets the cheese. Sometimes being first is everything. Sometimes being perfectly timed is everything. The wise know the difference. Study the patterns of when things succeed and when they fail. What makes some product launches become phenomena while others disappear? What makes some conversations change everything while others accomplish nothing? What makes some decisions create breakthrough results while others create disasters? Timing. Always timing. But let me ask you this. How often do you rush into action because you're uncomfortable with uncertainty? How many opportunities have you missed because you acted too quickly or too slowly? How frequently do you mistake urgency for importance? The person who acts too early wastes energy fighting resistance that hasn't formed yet. The person who acts too late wastes energy fighting resistance that has already hardened. The person who acts at the right moment flows through the path of least resistance. Learn to read the signs that indicate optimal timing. When is your boss most receptive to new ideas? When is your client most ready to make decisions? When is your market most willing to embrace change? These moments have patterns. Find them. Sometimes the right time is when everyone else thinks it's the wrong time. Sometimes the right time is when conventional wisdom says to wait. Sometimes the right time is when fear is highest and confidence is lowest. Economic downturns create the best buying opportunities. Personal crises create the strongest motivations for change. Organizational chaos creates the clearest paths for leadership. Difficulty often signals opportunity for those who can act when others cannot. The master of timing combines preparation with sensitivity. He prepares thoroughly, then remains alert for the moment when preparation can become action. He doesn't force timing. He recognizes it and responds to it. Your timing must account for multiple factors simultaneously: your readiness, their readiness, market conditions, competitive landscape, resource availability, and dozens of other variables. Miss any crucial element and perfect timing becomes terrible timing. Practice recognizing micro-timing within conversations. When is the other person most open to hearing difficult feedback? When are they most resistant to new ideas? When are they most likely to say yes to requests? These moments shift multiple times within single interactions. Right now, identify one important action you've been considering. Are you waiting too long because you're afraid? Are you rushing too quickly because you're impatient? What conditions need to align for this action to have maximum impact? Stop acting on your schedule. Start acting on opportunity's schedule. Stop forcing your timing. Start recognizing perfect timing. Stop pushing against resistance. Start flowing with momentum. The sharpest blade in the world is useless if swung at the wrong moment. The dullest blade can cut deep if applied at exactly the right time. Your timing is your edge. Sharpen it. Sharpen. Discipline is your advantage. Train in silence so you never panic in the storm. While your competition sleeps, you should be sharpening your skills. While they celebrate their current success, you should be preparing for the next challenge. While they rest on their achievements, you should be building your next victory. The gap between winners and losers is not created during the moment of competition. It's created during the months and years of preparation that nobody sees. The battle is won in the daily discipline that others skip. Most people prepare when they feel motivated. The wise prepare especially when they don't feel motivated. Motivation is temporary. Discipline is permanent. Systems are stronger than feelings. Your competitors are predictable. They work hard when pressure is high. They slack off when pressure is low. They prepare frantically when deadlines approach. They relax carelessly when deadlines pass. This predictability is your opportunity. Here's what most people don't understand about preparation. It's not about working harder during crises. It's about working consistently during calm periods. It's not about heroic efforts when everything is on the line. It's about steady progress when nothing seems urgent. The professional athlete trains hardest in the off-season. The successful business prepares for recession during expansion. The wise leader develops skills during periods of stability. They understand that preparation during peace determines performance during war. Study your field when others think there's nothing new to learn. Practice your craft when others think they've mastered it. Improve your weaknesses when others are celebrating their strengths. The person who never stops preparing never stops advancing. But let me ask you this. What are you doing during your quiet moments that your competition is not doing? When the immediate pressure is off, do you coast or do you build? When everyone else relaxes, do you relax or do you prepare? The moment you stop preparing is the moment you start declining. Skills atrophy. Knowledge becomes outdated. Advantages disappear. What got you here will not get you there. What won last year will not win next year. Build systems that make preparation automatic. Don't rely on willpower to drive your development. Create routines that ensure you're always advancing, regardless of how you feel on any particular day. Read when others watch television. Practice when others socialize. Learn when others complain. Think when others consume. The small daily differences compound into massive long-term advantages. Your preparation must be broader than your current role demands. Study adjacent skills. Develop parallel capabilities. Build knowledge in areas that don't seem immediately relevant. Today's irrelevant skill becomes tomorrow's competitive advantage. Prepare for scenarios that haven't happened yet. What if your industry changes overnight? What if your key advantage disappears? What if your primary strategy stops working? The unprepared panic when change arrives. The prepared profit from it. Mental preparation is as important as skill preparation. Visualize difficult scenarios. Practice making decisions under pressure. Strengthen your emotional control during calm periods so it's available during turbulent periods. Physical preparation affects everything else. Your energy determines your capacity for mental work. Your health determines your ability to sustain effort. Your physical discipline strengthens your mental discipline. Never separate the mind from the body. Right now, identify one skill that could transform your effectiveness if you developed it over the next year. Maybe it's public speaking. Maybe it's data analysis. Maybe it's emotional intelligence. Maybe it's technical expertise. Start developing that skill today, even if you don't need it today. Especially if you don't need it today. By the time you need it, it will be too late to develop it. Most people prepare for the test the night before. The wise prepare for the test every day. Most people train for the competition during the season. The wise train for the competition during the off-season. While they rest, you grow. While they coast, you climb. While they celebrate, you prepare. This is how you build advantages that others cannot quickly replicate. Discipline today becomes dominance tomorrow. Start now. You don't defeat opponents with strength. You let their flaws destroy them. Under pressure, people become exactly who they really are. The composed remain composed. The weak reveal their weakness. The unprepared panic. The undisciplined crumble. Your job is not to break them. Your job is to create the conditions where they break themselves. Most people think victory requires overwhelming force. The wise know that victory often requires patient observation. Watch your opponents when the stakes are high. Watch them when time is short. Watch them when their assumptions are challenged. They will show you exactly how to defeat them. Pressure is a truth serum. It strips away pretense and reveals character. The person who seems confident in casual conversation may become paralyzed when required to make important decisions. The person who appears decisive in low-stakes situations may become indecisive when real consequences are involved. Here's what most people don't understand about pressure. It doesn't change people. It reveals them. Their response to stress is their true nature breaking through their practiced facade. Study these responses, map these patterns, use this knowledge strategically. Some people become more aggressive under pressure. Others become more withdrawn. Some become more careful. Others become more reckless. Some seek help. Others isolate themselves. Once you understand someone's pressure response, you can predict their behavior in any crisis. But pressure also reveals your own character. How do you respond when deadlines compress, when resources disappear, when support evaporates, when criticism intensifies? Your response to pressure determines your capacity for leadership. The strong view pressure as information. The weak view pressure as punishment. Pressure tells you where the system is vulnerable, where the process breaks down, where the person cannot cope. This information is invaluable for strategy. But let me ask you this. Are you someone who creates pressure or someone who crumbles under pressure? Are you someone who remains calm when others panic, or do you add to the chaos? Learn to apply pressure systematically, not to be cruel, but to reveal truth. Ask the questions that must be answered. Set the deadlines that must be met. Demand the performance that must be delivered. Pressure separates the capable from the incapable. Sometimes the pressure you apply is simply competence. Your preparation reveals their lack of preparation. Your consistency reveals their inconsistency. Your calm reveals their chaos. You don't need to attack them directly. Your excellence pressures their mediocrity. Sometimes the pressure you apply is simply presence. Your confidence reveals their insecurity. Your focus reveals their distraction. Your commitment reveals their half-heartedness. You don't need to say anything. Your example speaks loudly enough. Watch how people handle unexpected changes. Do they adapt quickly or resist fiercely? Do they look for solutions or look for someone to blame? Do they maintain their standards or compromise their principles? Watch how people handle public criticism. Do they listen and improve or become defensive and rigid? Do they address the substance or attack the messenger? Do they use feedback as fuel or let it become poison? Watch how people handle resource constraints. Do they become more creative or more paralyzed? Do they prioritize effectively or try to do everything poorly? Do they lead with solutions or lead with excuses? These behaviors under pressure are the most accurate predictors of future performance. Someone's response to stress tells you more about them than their response to success ever will. Right now, think about the last time you were under significant pressure. How did you respond? What did that response reveal about your character? What patterns do you repeat when stress increases? Use pressure as a diagnostic tool for yourself and others. Don't avoid difficult situations. Use them to gather information. Don't fear stressful periods. Use them to identify weaknesses that need strengthening. Pressure is not your enemy. It's your teacher. It shows you who can be trusted and who cannot, who can perform and who cannot, who can lead and who cannot. Let pressure do the work that force cannot accomplish. Be humble. Be still. Let them miscalculate. Then take everything. The greatest advantage in any conflict is to be underestimated by your opponent. When they believe you are weak, they prepare for weakness. When they believe you are slow, they prepare for slowness. When they believe you are simple, they prepare for simplicity. Their miscalculation becomes your opportunity. Most people fight to be recognized. They demand respect. They insist on acknowledgement. They broadcast their capabilities to anyone who will listen. This is ego, not strategy. The wise remain invisible until the moment of decisive action. Let others take credit for your ideas if it serves your larger purpose. Let others believe they are leading when you are actually guiding. Let others think they understand you when you remain deliberately mysterious. Their overconfidence in their understanding of you becomes your weapon. Here's what most people don't understand about underestimation. It's not about being weak, it's about appearing less capable than you actually are. It's not about being passive, it's about being strategically quiet. The difference between actual weakness and perceived weakness is the difference between losing and winning. Study how others underestimate you. What assumptions do they make about your intelligence, your resources, your connections, your determination? Don't correct these misconceptions. Use them. When someone believes you lack experience, they explain things too simply and reveal information they should protect. When someone believes you lack resources, they don't prepare for the full force of your capabilities. When someone believes you lack connections, they don't guard against the alliances you've quietly built. But let me ask you this. How often do you waste energy trying to prove yourself to people whose opinion doesn't matter? How much advantage have you surrendered by needing others to know how capable you are? The master allows others to feel superior while positioning himself advantageously. He lets them believe they are teaching him while he is studying them. He permits them to think they are controlling the situation while he is controlling the outcome. Underestimation works because people want to believe they are smarter, stronger, and more capable than those around them. Feed this desire strategically. Let them feel superior while you gather information, build alliances, and prepare your real strategy. Sometimes underestimation happens naturally because of your age, your background, your appearance, or your position. Don't fight these perceptions. Exploit them. The young entrepreneur who looks inexperienced gets more honest feedback. The quiet team member who seems harmless learns everyone's real opinions. Control the pace of revelation. Show your capabilities gradually, only when it serves your strategic purpose. Let them adjust their assessment of you slowly, always keeping your full potential hidden until the crucial moment. The person who reveals everything immediately has no surprises left. The person who reveals nothing gradually maintains constant advantage. Every revelation should be calculated to advance your position. Practice being underestimated in low-stakes situations. Notice how people behave differently when they think you're not a threat. Observe what information they share when they believe you're not competing with them. Learn what opportunities appear when you're not seen as the obvious choice. Right now, identify one area where you're currently being underestimated. Instead of correcting this misperception, consider how you might use it strategically. What advantages does this underestimation create? What information does it make available? What opportunities does it reveal? Stop trying to impress people with your capabilities. Start using their underestimation of your capabilities. Stop demanding recognition for your intelligence. Start benefiting from their assumption of your simplicity. The loudest people in the room are rarely the most dangerous. The quietest people in the room are often the most prepared. Be quiet, be still, be underestimated. Let them discover your true strength only after it's too late for them to defend against it. Humility is not weakness, it's camouflage. Use it. Inner strength precedes outer victory. Your mindset is your most guarded fortress. Before you can defeat any external enemy, you must conquer the internal ones. Fear, doubt, anger, impatience, these are the opponents that defeat more warriors than any external force ever could. Master your mind, and you master your destiny. Most people try to control their circumstances before controlling their thoughts. This is backwards. Your thoughts create your actions. Your actions create your results. Your results create your circumstances. Everything begins in the mind. A fortress with weak walls invites attack. A mind with weak defenses invites chaos. Doubt creeps in through unguarded thoughts. Fear spreads through unexamined assumptions. Anger burns through uncontrolled emotions. Your first responsibility is to build mental walls that cannot be breached. Here's what most people don't understand about mental strength. It's not about positive thinking, it's about clear thinking. It's not about feeling confident. It's about acting confidently regardless of how you feel. The weak mind reacts to every stimulus. Every criticism becomes a crisis. Every setback becomes a catastrophe. Every challenge becomes proof of inadequacy. The strong mind filters input and chooses response. Study your mental patterns. What thoughts appear when pressure increases? What fears surface when stakes are high? What doubts emerge when success seems possible? These patterns control your behavior more than any external force. But let me ask you this. How much energy do you waste fighting battles in your mind that will never happen in reality? How often do you defeat yourself with worry before any real opponent appears? The disciplined mind distinguishes between problems and imaginary problems, between real threats and manufactured fears, between current challenges and projected disasters. Most of what people worry about never happens. Most of what defeats people exists only in their thoughts. Build mental routines that strengthen your psychological fortress. When doubt appears, what will you think instead? When fear emerges, what will you do immediately? When anger rises, how will you channel that energy productively? The prepared mind has responses ready for every common attack. Criticism triggers curiosity, not defensiveness. Failure triggers analysis, not despair. Success triggers preparation. For the next challenge, not complacency. Your mind must be more disciplined than your body. Your body will go where your mind leads. Your body will quit when your mind quits. Your body will persist when your mind is unbreakable. Mental toughness creates physical endurance. Practice mental resistance training. Deliberately expose yourself to small discomforts to build tolerance for large discomforts. Choose the harder path when the easier path is available. Exercise your mind's ability to override your body's complaints. Control your mental diet as carefully as your physical diet. What information do you consume? What conversations do you engage in? What thoughts do you entertain? Poison in your mind creates poison in your life. Sometimes fortifying your mind means adding strength. Sometimes it means removing weakness. Stop consuming news that makes you fearful. Stop engaging in conversations that make you bitter. Stop entertaining thoughts that make you weak. The strongest fortresses are built during peacetime, not during war. Build your mental strength during calm periods, so it's available during turbulent periods. Don't wait for crisis to develop mental discipline. Right now, identify your most common mental vulnerability. Maybe it's self-doubt that appears before important presentations. Maybe it's anger that emerges during difficult conversations. Maybe it's fear that surfaces when taking calculated risks. Develop a specific strategy for that vulnerability. What will you think when it appears? What will you do immediately? How will you redirect that energy toward productive action? Your external enemies study your weaknesses to exploit them. Your internal enemies don't need to study. They already know every vulnerability you have. Defeat the internal enemies first. Once your mind is fortified, no external force can truly defeat you. They may delay you, they may challenge you, but they cannot break you. A conquered mind conquers everything else. Structure beats hustle. Long-term dominance begins with repeatable preparation. The victorious rely on systems, not heroics. They build processes that work regardless of mood, motivation, or circumstance. They create structures that function during chaos and clarity alike. While others depend on bursts of energy, they depend on sustainable architecture. Most people solve problems with effort. The wise solve problems with systems. Effort is temporary. Systems are permanent. Effort requires constant energy. Systems generate energy. Effort creates results once. Systems create results repeatedly. When the storm arrives, and it always arrives, individual willpower breaks. Personal motivation fails. Good intentions crumble, but well-designed systems continue functioning. They protect what matters most when everything else falls apart. Here's what most people don't understand about systems. They're not built for perfect conditions. They're built for worst-case scenarios. They're designed to work when you're tired, distracted, overwhelmed, or defeated. That's when you need them most. Study your current approach to important areas of your life. Are you depending on discipline or systems? Are you relying on motivation or structure? Are you trusting willpower or process? Willpower is finite. Systems are renewable. The successful business doesn't depend on the founder working 18-hour days forever. It builds systems that generate results when the founder is unavailable. The successful athlete doesn't depend on feeling motivated every day. They build training systems that progress them regardless of mood. But let me ask you this. What happens to your important goals when life becomes chaotic? What happens to your standards when pressure increases? What happens to your progress? When motivation disappears, if your success depends on perfect conditions, your success is fragile. If your progress depends on constant willpower, your progress is temporary. Build systems that function especially when conditions are imperfect. Systems must account for human weakness, not human strength. Assume you will be tired. Assume you will be distracted. Assume you will be tempted to quit. Design your systems to work despite these realities, not because of their absence. The best systems are invisible. They become habits so automatic that you follow them without conscious decision. They integrate so seamlessly into your routine that maintaining them requires less energy than abandoning them. Start with your most important outcome and work backwards. What daily actions must happen for this outcome to be inevitable? What weekly reviews must occur? What monthly adjustments must be made? What quarterly evaluations must happen? Then design systems that make these actions automatic. Remove friction from good choices. Add friction to bad choices. Make the right thing easier than the wrong thing. Make progress more convenient than procrastination. Your systems must be specific enough to guide action, but flexible enough to survive changing circumstances. They must be simple enough to follow consistently, but comprehensive enough to drive meaningful results. Test your systems during stress. Do they still function when deadlines compress? Do they still work when resources disappear? Do they still guide you when emotions run high? Systems that only work during easy times are not systems. They're suggestions. Build redundancy into critical systems. What happens if your primary approach fails? What's your backup plan for the backup plan? The prepared have multiple paths to the same destination. Right now, identify one area of your life where you're depending on willpower instead of systems. Maybe it's your approach to health. Maybe it's your method for developing skills. Maybe it's your process for building relationships. Design a system that would produce your desired outcome even if you never felt motivated again. What would need to happen automatically? What decisions would need to be pre-made? What environment would need to be structured? The storm is coming. It's always coming. Your systems are your shelter. Build them strong. Build them now. Build them to last. When others are rebuilding from chaos, you'll be advancing from stability. Confusion weakens enemies. Clarity strengthens you. Never reveal your position. Your opponents depend on predictability to plan against you. They study your patterns to counter your moves. They analyze your behavior to anticipate your actions. Disrupt this process. Make yourself unreadable. Force them to guess while you operate from certainty. Most people try to win by being stronger. The wise win by being less predictable. When your opponents cannot predict your next move, they cannot prepare adequate defenses. When they cannot understand your strategy, they cannot counter it effectively. Certainty is comfort. Uncertainty is anxiety. Your goal is to maximize their anxiety while minimizing your own. You achieve this by knowing more than you reveal and revealing less than you know. Here's what most people don't understand about psychological warfare. It's not about intimidation. It's about confusion. It's not about showing strength. It's about hiding strategy. The opponent who cannot read you cannot defeat you. Create false patterns to mislead them. Act aggressively in situations that don't matter to make them expect aggression when it does matter. Then act patiently when they're prepared for aggression. Act cautiously in low-stakes scenarios to make them expect caution when stakes are high. Then act boldly when they're prepared for hesitation. But let me ask you this: how often do you telegraph your real intentions through your behavior? How frequently do you reveal your actual strategy through your reactions? How many times do you show your hand before you need to play it? Guard your emotional responses like military secrets. When they attack your weak points, don't flinch. When they probe your defenses, don't react. When they test your resolve, don't reveal the true depth of your commitment. Let them operate on incomplete information. Your silence is more powerful than your words. When you speak, you give them data to analyze. When you react, you reveal your priorities. When you defend, you confirm what they suspected. Strategic silence forces them to make assumptions, and assumptions are always flawed. Sometimes disruption means doing exactly what they expect, but for reasons they don't understand. Sometimes it means doing the opposite of what they expect, but with timing they cannot predict. Sometimes it means doing nothing when they expect action, or everything when they expect hesitation. The goal is not to be random. Randomness has no strategic value. The goal is to be unpredictable while remaining purposeful. Every action should advance your position, but the connection between actions should be invisible to observers. Study how they gather information about you. What questions do they ask? What behaviors do they observe? What sources do they consult? Once you understand their intelligence-gathering methods, you can feed them misleading information through those same channels. Control the narrative they create about you. If they think you're impulsive, be methodical at crucial moments. If they think you're emotional, be coldly logical when it matters. If they think you're collaborative, be independently decisive when necessary. Right now, identify one area where your opponents have too much certainty about your behavior. Maybe they know exactly how you respond to criticism. Maybe they can predict how you handle pressure. Maybe they understand your decision-making process too well. Introduce deliberate unpredictability into that area. Change your response patterns. Vary your timing. Alter your methods. Force them to recalculate their assumptions about you while you're disrupting their certainty. Defend your own clarity. Know your true objectives while disguising your path to them. Understand your real priorities while misdirecting attention to false priorities. Maintain clear strategy while creating confusion about tactics. The opponent who cannot predict you cannot prepare for you. The opponent who cannot read you cannot counter you. The opponent who cannot understand you cannot defeat you. Confusion is your weapon. Clarity is your shield. Use both wisely. Both. Panic is a weapon. Let others lose control. You remain calm, centered, and exact. In every crisis, two forces emerge: those who add to the chaos and those who remain unmoved by it. The first group destroys itself through frantic action. The second group profits from the destruction of the first. Choose which force you will be. Most people react to chaos with more chaos. They match the energy around them. They accelerate when others accelerate. They panic when others panic. This is how weakness spreads like infection. The wise recognize chaos as opportunity, not threat. When everyone else is rushing, you move deliberately. When everyone else is shouting, you speak quietly. When everyone else is making hasty decisions, you think clearly. Your stillness in their storm becomes your greatest advantage. Here's what most people don't understand about chaos. It reveals who has real strength and who is only borrowing strength from stable conditions. It strips away pretense and shows true character. Those who remain calm during chaos were already calm. Those who panic were always on the edge of panic. Study how others respond when pressure intensifies rapidly. Do they become more decisive or more paralyzed? Do they focus on solutions or focus on blame? Do they lead others toward stability or contribute to the instability? Their response tells you everything about their true capabilities. But let me ask you this. When chaos erupts around you, do you become part of the problem or part of the solution? Do you add noise to the noise, or do you create a pocket of calm in the storm? The person who remains still while others spin in circles gains massive competitive advantage. While they waste energy on panic, you conserve energy for productive action. While they make emotional decisions, you make strategic decisions. While they reveal their desperation, you reveal your strength. Chaos creates opportunities that only the calm can see. Panicked competitors make mistakes. Frantic customers become loyal to anyone who provides stability. Overwhelmed markets reward anyone who can deliver consistent results. But you can only capitalize on these opportunities if you're not consumed by the chaos yourself. Practice stillness before chaos arrives. Train your mind to remain centered when external conditions become turbulent. Develop systems that function during crisis. Build habits that persist during disruption. The time to learn composure is not during the emergency. Sometimes the best strategy during chaos is to do nothing. Let others exhaust themselves with frantic activity while you observe and analyze. Let them reveal their strategies through desperate actions while you keep yours hidden. Let them make the mistakes that create opportunities for you. Your composure becomes a signal to others. In chaotic times, people follow those who seem unshaken. They trust those who appear to have answers. They gravitate toward those who project confidence. Your stillness makes you a natural leader when leadership is most valuable. Create zones of calm around you. When others bring chaos to meetings, bring structure. When others bring emotion to decisions, bring logic. When others bring confusion to problems, bring clarity. Become the eye of every storm. Right now, think about the last time you faced significant chaos or crisis. How did you respond? Did you maintain your standards or compromise them? Did you stick to your plan or abandon it? Did you help others find stability, or did you need others to stabilize you? The next crisis is coming. It always is. Prepare now to be the person who remains unmoved while others lose control. Develop the mental discipline to think clearly when others cannot. Build the emotional strength to act wisely when others react foolishly. Chaos is not your enemy, it's your opportunity, but only if you refuse to let it consume you. Let them burn while you build. Let them panic while you plan. Let them lose control. While you take control, stillness in the storm is the ultimate demonstration of power. Rigidity breaks. Flexibility wins. Shift instantly without emotion. The strongest tree in the forest is not the tallest or the thickest. It's the one that bends without breaking when the wind changes direction. In strategy, as in nature, adaptation determines survival. The rigid plan executed perfectly often fails. The flexible plan adjusted constantly often succeeds. Most people mistake consistency for strength. They believe that changing course shows weakness. They confuse stubbornness with determination. This thinking creates brittle strategies that shatter when conditions shift. The wise understand that adaptation is not abandonment, it's evolution. Your original plan was based on original information. When information changes, plans must change. When conditions shift, strategies must shift. When opponents adapt, you must counter-adapt. The plan that cannot change is the plan that cannot win. Here's what most people don't understand about adaptation. It's not about abandoning your goals. It's about finding new paths to the same destination. It's not about giving up your principles. It's about applying those principles to new circumstances. Study what changes and what remains constant. Market conditions change. Customer preferences change. Technology changes. Competition changes. But human nature remains largely constant. Basic psychological principles remain stable. Fundamental strategic concepts endure. Adapt your methods while protecting your core insights. But let me ask you this. How quickly do you recognize when your current approach is no longer working? How fast do you adjust when feedback contradicts your assumptions? How easily do you abandon strategies that served you well in the past but don't serve you now? The person who adapts fastest gains the most advantage. While others cling to outdated methods, you're already implementing new solutions. While others debate whether change is necessary, you're already succeeding with changed approaches. Speed of adaptation multiplies the benefit of adaptation. Adaptation requires killing your darlings. That brilliant strategy that worked perfectly last year may be exactly wrong for this year. That approach that built your reputation may be what's limiting your growth. That method that feels comfortable may be what's making you vulnerable. Monitor leading indicators, not just results. Results tell you what happened. Leading indicators tell you what's about to happen. By the time results show that change is necessary, you may be too late to change effectively. Watch for shifts in customer behavior, competitor moves, technology. Trends and market signals build adaptation into your systems from the beginning. Create decision points where you evaluate whether to continue or pivot. Establish criteria that trigger strategy reviews. Develop processes for rapid testing of new approaches. Make change normal, not exceptional. Sometimes adaptation means doing more of what's working. Sometimes it means doing less of what's not working. Sometimes it means doing something completely different. The key is responding to reality, not wishful thinking. Practice small adaptations to build capacity for large adaptations. Change minor elements of your routine regularly. Experiment with different approaches to familiar problems. Test new methods in low-risk situations. Build your adaptation muscles before you need them for survival. Right now, identify one area where you've been too rigid. Maybe it's your approach to a recurring problem. Maybe it's your method for achieving an important goal. Maybe it's your strategy for dealing with a difficult relationship. What new information suggests that a different approach might work better? What feedback have you been ignoring because it contradicts your preferred method? What changes in your environment require changes in your strategy? The market rewards those who adapt fastest to new conditions. The competitive advantage goes to those who can change direction without losing momentum. The victory belongs to those who can evolve their approach without abandoning their objectives. Water defeats rock not through force, but through persistence and adaptation. It finds every weakness, exploits every opening, adjusts to every obstacle. Be like water. Flexibility is strength. Adaptation is intelligence. Evolution is survival. Mental preparation precedes physical action. Your first strike is always invisible. Every victory begins as a thought before it becomes reality. Every strategy exists in the mind before it manifests in the world. Every decisive action starts with mental rehearsal, not physical movement. The battle is won in imagination before it's fought in reality. Most people act first and think later. They move their bodies before they've moved their minds. They engage physically before they've engaged mentally. This approach guarantees inefficiency and often guarantees failure. The wise win internally before they compete externally. Your mind is your laboratory. Test strategies there before you risk them in reality. Rehearse difficult conversations before you have them. Visualize challenging scenarios before you face them. Play out various possibilities before you commit to one path. Mental preparation eliminates most surprises. Here's what most people don't understand about mental rehearsal. It's not about positive thinking. It's about realistic thinking. It's not about imagining perfect outcomes. It's about preparing for likely obstacles. The goal is not confidence, it's competence. Study the difference between your mental preparation and your actual performance. Where do they align? Where do they diverge? What factors in reality did you fail to consider in your mental models? What assumptions proved false when tested by experience? But let me ask you this. How often do you act without adequate mental preparation? How frequently do you enter important situations without having mentally rehearsed multiple scenarios? How many times have you been surprised by predictable outcomes? The prepared mind anticipates resistance and plans responses. It identifies potential failures and develops contingencies. It maps probable reactions and prepares counter-reactions. When surprises occur, they're minor adjustments to expected patterns, not complete disruptions. Mental preparation includes emotional preparation. How will you respond when criticized? How will you react when frustrated? How will you behave when success seems impossible? Your emotional responses during pressure determine outcomes more than your intellectual strategies. Visualize, not just success, but the process of achieving success. See yourself executing each step. Feel yourself overcoming each obstacle. Experience yourself maintaining composure during difficult moments. Mental rehearsal builds neural pathways that guide physical performance. Practice decision-making in your mind before you face decisions in reality. What will you do if they say no? What will you do if they say yes? What will you do if they propose alternatives? What will you do if they delay? Pre-made decisions are faster and better than reactive decisions. Your mental preparation must be more comprehensive than your physical preparation. Consider more variables, test more scenarios, prepare for more contingencies. The mind can explore possibilities that the body could never practice. Sometimes mental preparation reveals that physical action is unnecessary. Sometimes the best strategy becomes clear without testing multiple approaches. Sometimes the optimal timing becomes obvious without experimenting with different timings. Right now, identify one important challenge you're facing where you haven't completed adequate mental preparation. Maybe it's an upcoming negotiation. Maybe it's a difficult conversation. Maybe it's a strategic decision. Go through that challenge mentally. What could go right? What could go wrong? How will others likely respond? What are your best moves in each scenario? What are your fallback plans if primary strategies fail? The unprepared mind reacts to whatever happens. The prepared mind responds according to predetermined strategy. Reaction is always slower than response. Response is always more effective than reaction. Mental victories create physical victories. Mental clarity creates decisive action. Mental preparation creates real-world success. Move first in your mind. Win there completely. Then move in the world with certainty. Invisible preparation creates visible dominance. True power is invisible. You win not when you fight, but when your presence alone ends the battle. The supreme excellence is to subdue the enemy without fighting, to win without conflict, to achieve your objectives without opposition. This is not avoiding battle out of weakness. This is making battle unnecessary through overwhelming strategic superiority. Most people think victory requires confrontation. They believe power must be demonstrated through force. They assume that winning means defeating others in direct competition. This understanding is primitive. True mastery renders competition irrelevant when your preparation is complete, when your position is unassailable, when your reputation precedes you. Opponents surrender before engaging. They recognize the futility of resistance. They understand that challenging you would cost more than yielding to you. This is power in its purest form. Here's what most people don't understand about ultimate victory. It's not about being unbeatable in battle. It's about making battle unthinkable. It's not about winning every fight. It's about creating conditions where fights don't occur. Study those who win without fighting. What makes others unwilling to challenge them? What creates such respect that competition becomes collaboration? What builds such strength that resistance becomes submission? These are the principles of supreme strategy. But let me ask you this. Are you building the kind of capability that makes others want to join you rather than oppose you? Are you developing the kind of reputation that makes challenges unnecessary? Are you creating the kind of value that makes competition irrelevant? The person who must constantly prove their strength is not truly strong. The person who must repeatedly demonstrate their intelligence is not truly intelligent. The person who must continually fight for respect is not truly respected. True power speaks through presence, not performance. This level of strategic superiority requires mastery of everything we've discussed, complete preparation that eliminates surprise, deep understanding of yourself, your environment, and your opposition, perfect timing that makes resistance futile, unshakable mental discipline that intimidates opponents, systems so robust they function automatically, reputation so formidable it precedes action. When you achieve this level, others seek your alliance instead of your defeat. They want to learn from you instead of compete with you. They want to join your mission instead of oppose it. This transformation from opponent to ally is the ultimate strategic achievement. Sometimes the highest victory looks like doing nothing while others exhaust themselves in pointless conflicts. Sometimes it looks like making one move that eliminates the need for all subsequent moves. Sometimes it looks like speaking one word that ends all discussion. The master's power is so complete that its use becomes unnecessary, like a perfectly sharp sword that never needs to cut, because its reputation alone resolves all disputes, like a fortress so strong that no one considers attacking it, like a leader so respected that their suggestions become commands. Right now, consider your most important long-term objective. Instead of asking, "How do I defeat the obstacles?" ask, "How do I make the obstacles irrelevant?" Instead of asking, "How do I win the competition?" ask, "How do I make the competition want to join me?" This is the path to supreme victory. Build capabilities so complete that others prefer cooperation to competition. Develop reputation so strong that others seek alliance over opposition. Create value so significant that others choose collaboration over conflict. The ultimate warrior wins without drawing his sword. The ultimate strategist achieves objectives without opposition. The ultimate leader commands without coercion. You already have what it takes. Now, go prove it. If this message spoke to you, subscribe for more powerful mindset content. Let us know in the comments what part hit you the hardest. You already have what it takes. Now, go prove it.